Witches and Wands, The Well of Whispers. Chapter 2. The salty wind blew through Chloe's hair, whipping it behind her as she stood on the boarding dock. The scent of the sea filled her lungs, fresh, briny, and so alive. The cruise ship loomed ahead like a floating city, but stepping inside was even more magical than she expected. Somehow, the interior seemed 3 times as large as the outside suggested. The entrance opened into a grand lobby bustling with people. High ceilings glittered with elegant lights. The families lined up at the check-in booth, chattering with excitement. "What an amazing check-in booth," Mrs. Tuffin said, eyes wide in admiration. Clapping his hands, Mr. Tuffin said, "All right, girls, let's grab our room keys and start relaxing." He placed the bags onto the cart, while Chloe and her mom added theirs with a grunt. "I'm glad we didn't bring more bags. These are heavy," Chloe said, wiping the sweat from her brow. "Oh gosh, remember our last trip? Your father packed everything and the kitchen sink," Mr. Tuffin snorted. "It took forever just to carry the bags to our room," Chloe said, shaking her head with a laugh. "Let's be thankful we didn't give him more time to overpack," Mrs. Tuffin chuckled. "All right, family, we're in room 220, Mr. Tuffin announced, holding up a key card. "Excuse me, I'm here to take your bags to your room," a staff member said politely, approaching with a dolly. "Thank you. Why don't we go check out our room?" Mrs. Tuffin suggested. "I want to explore the deck," Chloe said eagerly. Mr. Tuffin raised an eyebrow. "I don't know, Chloe. Think you can stay out of trouble for once?" "Psh, of course I can. I'm an angel," Chloe said sweetly, batting her eyes at her father. Waving her parents off, Chloe turned and made her way up the staircase to the top deck, her small dog Saffron trotting beside her on a leash. The deck was buzzing with life, laughter, music, and the soft lapping of waves against the ship's hull. A large pool was in the center, where a water volleyball game was underway. To the side, an adult swim-up bar offered colorful drinks to lounging passengers. Not far from the pool, a winding miniature golf course stretched across the deck, its ocean-themed holes drawing in excited families. Chloe picked an activity sheet from the brightly colored stand near the pool entrance, her eyes scanning the long list of entertainment, events, and games scheduled for the day. The glossy flyer was filled with bold fonts and cheery icons: swimming contests, scavenger hunts, karaoke nights, trivia challenges, and even themed dinners. She grinned widely. There was something for everyone, and it was all happening at once. Wasting no time, Chloe changed into her swimsuit and joined a group of other teens splashing around in the massive top deck pool. The sun was high and warm, and the scent of salt water and sunscreen filled the air. She dove in, letting the cool water wash over her, and quickly got swept up in the game of water volleyball. Laughter and shouts echoed across the deck as the ball bounced from one team to the other, her worries melting away with every serve. Hours passed in a blur of sunshine and cannonballs. By late afternoon, she met up with her parents for a feast at the all-you-can-eat buffet on deck below. Long rows of steaming dishes stretched across the dining hall. Fresh seafood, pastries, colorful salads, and desserts piled high with whipped cream and chocolate drizzle. Chloe loaded her plate with everything she could fit, from cheesy pizza slices to tiny, elegant pastries that looked way too perfect to eat. The 3 of them sat at a window table, watching the ocean stretch endlessly beyond the glass as they laughed, shared bites, and joked about who had eaten the most. It felt like the best parts of family life all rolled into one perfect, unchanging moment. No rushing, no distractions, just quality family time together. Later that evening, full and content, they made their way to the onboard movie theater, reclining in soft, oversized chairs with blankets tucked around their legs. They watched an old animated classic Chloe had loved as a little girl. Her head rested gently on her mom's shoulder, and her dad gave quiet snores during the slow parts. The rocking of the ship and the steady hum of the engines lulled Chloe closer towards sleep, and before the credits rolled, her eyes had drifted shut. She awoke the next morning to the faint golden light of sunrise streaming through her cabin curtains. The ship rocked gently beneath her, and everything was calm and quiet, peaceful in a way that made her smile as she sat up and stretched. Saffron yawned beside her, nestled into a corner of the blanket. She could already feel the promise of another exciting day. After a quick shower and a change into comfortable clothes, she stepped into the hallway ready for adventure. Her parents, still finishing their coffee on the balcony, had different plans for that morning. "We're going to check out the adults-only lounge for a bit, sweetheart," her mom said, giving her a warm smile. "Just a little couple time. We'll meet you for lunch, yeah?" "Sure," Chloe said, grabbing her activity sheet from the nightstand. "I'm gonna see what's happening on deck. Maybe there's a new pool game or another scavenger hunt," she said excitedly. "Stay out of trouble," her dad added with a wink, handing her a small bag of snacks, "just in case you get hungry." Chloe snorted. "I always get hungry," she said with a grin, stuffing the bag into her tote. As she headed up the carpeted stairs toward the upper decks, Chloe felt the familiar flutter of excitement in her chest. The ship was alive again, with music drifting from the speakers, the scent of breakfast pastries in the air, and sunlight pouring across the open deck. But something about the horizon looked different. And today, unlike yesterday, the sea didn't feel quite as calm. She followed the railing toward the bow of the ship, letting the cool wind kiss her face. Her dog was sleeping soundly in her arms, having tuckered herself out. Finally, she stood and gripped the railing, gazing out at the open ocean. The horizon shimmered and the water rippled below in a dazzling waves. "Breathtaking, isn't it?" a voice called from behind. Chloe turned, startled by a familiar voice. It was the woman who had greeted the passengers as they boarded the ship. She now stood beside Chloe, eyes on the horizon. "The view," the woman said simply. "Oh, it's magical," Chloe replied, still admiring the endless blue. "Well put," the woman said with a smile. "Do you believe in magic, Chloe?" Chloe blinked, her gaze shifting to the woman. "I'm a bit old to be believing in magic," she replied, then paused. "Wait, how did she know my name?" she thought to herself. Before she could ask, a loud buzz came from overhead the intercom, and a deep voice boomed across the deck. "Attention guests! We are heading into rough seas. Please return to your cabins until the storm has passed. Thank you." People around them began making their way towards the staircase, the lively deck suddenly filled with urgency. When Chloe turned back, the woman had vanished. Confused, but hurried, Chloe started down the stairs, Saffron still tucked into her arms. But just as she reached the middle of the stairwell, Saffron wiggled free and bolted back towards the top deck. "Saffron, come back!" Chloe shouted, her heart racing as she dashed after her dog. The ocean churned with growing fury, its once playful waves now transformed into towering walls of water. Each swell rose higher than the last, as if the sea itself were trying to consume the world around them. The sky darkened, swallowed by clouds so thick and heavy these seemed to press down on the ship. Sunlight vanished behind the storm curtain, plunging the world into a deep gray and angry darkness. A monstrous wave collided with the ship's side, rocking it violently and sending a spray of seawater over the deck. Passengers screamed and clinged to the railings as wind howled through the quarters like a living creature. Above, the clouds burst open, releasing a deluge of rain that pounded the ship from bow to stern. Within moments, the top deck was slick and flooding, water pulling around the lounge chairs and swashing over the edges. The drains couldn't keep up. Water streamed down the stairwell, dripping through every crevice, creeping deeper into the ship's lower levels. Hallways once filled with laughter and music now echoed with hurried footsteps, alarms, and the distant barking of crew's orders. The cruise ship groaned against the storm, metal protesting under nature's assault. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the chaotic scene in brief flashes. Startled faces, overturned furniture, and water rushing like a tide where it didn't belong. Chloe ran across the now flooding deck, her shoes slapping against the slick surface as rain hammered down in sheets. Wind whipped her hair across her face. strands sticking to her cheeks as she tried to see through the storm. Blinking through the downpour, she frantically searched the deck, heart pounding in her ears. Saffron was nowhere in sight. A sudden tilt of the ship threw her off balance, and she nearly slipped, but her hand caught a nearby railing just in time. She gripped it hard, her knuckles turning white as the entire vessel groaned and lurched beneath her. The storm howled, and Chloe squeezed her eyes shut as wave after wave battered the ship's side. Then, through the thunder and wind, a small sound pierced the chaos. A tiny, desperate yap. Her eyes snapped open. She scanned the deck, breath held, and there, at the very front of the ship, stood a small, quivering figure. A little white chihuahua, soaked to the bone and shaking violently, crouched beside the rail at the bow. Rain matted her fur to her skin, and her tiny body shivered with every gust of wind. But it was Saffron. "Saffron!" Chloe cried, her voice nearly lost in the storm. Clutching the rail for balance, she moved carefully, pulling herself forward inch by inch. Each step was a battle against the rocking ship, against the driving rain, against the primal fear that clung at her chest. The water on the deck swirled around her ankles now, rushing towards the drains that could barely keep up. Another wave slammed into the ship, sending a wall of water over the railing and onto the deck. Chloe was lifted slightly, her feet losing traction, but she held firm to the cold metal rail. She gasped and coughed from the salt water that splashed into her mouth and kept moving. The tiny dog gave another scared yip but didn't move. She looked frozen, paralyzed by fear, her paws trembling beneath her. With a final push, Chloe let go of the railing and sprinted the last few feet, her arms outstretched wide. She slid on her knees as the ship rocked again and wrapped her arms around the little dog, clutching her to her chest. "I got you," she whispered, hugging her tightly. "I've got you." Saffron whimpered, pressing her wet face into Chloe's neck as thunder cracked above them. Chloe didn't move for a moment. She just knelt there at the bow of the ship, holding her dog as the storm raged around them. And then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw something strange. The ship began to tilt upward, its bow rising towards the sky as the storm swept the horizon. But in view, over the bowing ship, was a big, bright light of blue. A voice, thin but urgent, pierced through the thunder and driving rain. "Chloe!" Mrs. Tuffin called, her voice cracking with fear. "Chloe, where are you?" "Sweetheart," Mr. Tuffin called shortly after, strained and hoarse against the wind. "Answer me, please." Chloe turned away from the light to look at where the sound was coming from, clutching Saffron tighter to her chest. Her heart ached. There they were, her parents, terrified and desperate, looking for her. She opened her mouth to shout back, but the wind swallowed her words before they could leave her throat. "I'm here!" she screamed, but the howl of the storm drowned out her voice completely. The ship groaned again, its massive hull shuddering. Another wave slammed against the side, tilting the bow higher. Chloe stumbled, barely keeping her footing as the front of the ship pointed towards the heavens. The deck was nearly vertical now, and the world seemed to fall away behind her. For a moment, everything else faded. The wind, the rain, her parents' voices, the ship itself. It was just her and the blinding blue light that was cast across the ship. She took a hesitant step forward. "Chloe!" came her mother's voice again, closer this time. "Chloe, answer me!" Chloe turned her head and saw her parents, soaked to the bone and fighting the incline of the deck to reach her. Mrs. Tuffin's eyes locked onto Chloe's, and a sob tore from her lips. "There you are!" she cried, stumbling forward. Mr. Tuffin was right behind her, slipping on the slick deck but refusing to slow down. "Don't move," he shouted. "We're coming to get you." Saffron gave a quiet whine and squirmed in Chloe's arms, but Chloe didn't move. The ship shifted again, and the angle became almost too steep to stand. The ship was going down, and so were everyone aboard. Chloe grabbed onto her parents tightly once they were close enough, holding them close as the ship jerked around. The ship groaned like a wounded beast, its massive frame lurching with every crashing wave. Water surged over the lower decks, pouring through scattered windows and bent railings. The once grand cruise liner, so full of laughter and light only a few hours before, now tilted sharply to the starboard, the bow steadily sinking lower into the churning sea. Alarms shrieked through corridors, echoing with urgency, barely audible over the howling wind and the cries of frightened passengers. "Lifeboats this way! Keep moving! Stay calm!" shouted a crew member, his voice ragged from yelling. Chloe's parents clutched her tightly, shielding her from the rain and the chaos. Strangers didn't stop to help. Everyone was too busy climbing over debris and staying upright on the slippery floor. People screamed for lost family members. Names shouted desperately into the storm. The ship listed even further, and the deck became a slick, dangerous slope. Chloe and her parents made it to the lifeboats just as they were being lowered unevenly into the black, heaving water. Each one swung wildly as terrified passengers clambered aboard. Pushing and shoving, people climbed inside the raft hoping for safety. A loud crack echoed from below, a section of the ship's hull giving way under the pressure. The sea had begun to win. Then something changed. Beneath the surface, just beyond the lifeboats, the ocean began to spiral. At first it was subtle, a strange whirl in the waves, but it grew quickly, unnaturally fast, as if something beneath the surface was pulling the water down into a deep, unseeing pit. The swirling vortex widened, dark and massive, dragging debris into its spinning center. Chloe's lifeboat veered too close. "Pull back! Get it away from the edge!" a crewman screamed, but the boat was caught in the vortex's grip. Passengers inside clung to the sides as the water spun them in violent circles. "It's pulling us in!" someone cried next to Chloe. The vortex was no ordinary whirlpool. The water wasn't just sinking, it was twisting downward like a liquid tornado, stretching deep into the blackness below. Chloe, still clutching Saffron in her arms, stared at the swirling abyss in horror and awe. It wasn't just swallowing water, it was swallowing everything around it. Another crack rang out from the ship's hull, followed by a groan of collapsing metal. Chloe's lifeboat drifted closer to the swirling vortex of water. People began jumping into the water, swimming to the other lifeboats. People were in full panic, screaming in the water as the boat sank into the black water. "It's going to be okay," Chloe's dad yelled over the thrashing storm, his arms swiftly wrapping around both Chloe and her mother as the boat hit the vortex. Their boat circled the crashing waves, inch by inch bringing them closer to the collapsing black hole in the center. The boat was slowly engulfed by dark water. The last thing Chloe heard was the screaming from the other lifeboats. Her world slipped into darkness, the sound of thunder taking over everything else. Water flooded their boats, and the cool water lapped at their legs before consuming them whole. "Chloe? Chloe, sweetie, it's time to wake up." Her father's voice was soft, but there was something in it that didn't sit right. Something that trembled just beneath the surface. It pulled at her slowly, unwillingly, from the heavy fog of sleep. Her eyes blinked open. At first, everything was a blur, a hazy wash of colors and lights. Then her vision sharpened, and she sat bolt upright with a gasp, her breath catching in her throat. Her gaze darted around, wild. Green grass, towering trees, open sky, no metal walls, no ocean, and no ship. "We didn't drown?" she cried, her voice raw and shrill as she frantically ran her hands over her arms and the rest of her body. "We're alive?" she asked. Her hands flew to her face, pressing hard against her cheeks as panic swelled in her chest. Her breathing grew ragged. "I don't understand. How are we alive? How are we in the middle of a field when we were on a ship?" she choked out, her voice breaking. "Shh, hey, Chloe, breathe, just breathe," her mother whispered, sliding close beside her. Her mother wrapped one arm around her and placed an arm on her back, rubbing slow, calming circles. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now. You're safe." Chloe's chest rose and fell in shaky, shallow breaths. She tried to follow her mom's voice, pulling the air in slowly, then letting it out. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. The fear slowly began to retreat, just enough for her to look around. They were in a vast, open field. Sunlight warmed her face. The wind carried the scent of wildflowers and distant pine. The sky above them was impossibly blue. There was no trace of a storm that had nearly killed them. It was beautiful and calm. Too beautiful and calm. Almost unreal. Her parents sat beside her, soaked to the bone, clothes clinging to their skin, eyes wide and exhausted but full of quiet relief. And Saffron, her little white dog, shook out her damp fur, gave a happy sneeze, and wagged her tail like nothing had happened. Chloe's voice was barely audible. "Where are we? How did we even get here?" she asked. Her parents exchanged a long-waited glance, one that didn't go unnoticed by Chloe. Chloe frowned. "Wait," she turned to them fully. "You two know something. You're not acting surprised to be alive." Her father tried to give a smile, that same crooked, harmless grin he'd use whenever he got caught sneaking an extra dessert. "Would you believe us if we said no?" he asked. Her heart sank. "What's going on, Mom and Dad?" Neither parent answered. Chloe stood abruptly, fist clenched at her sides. Her breath catching again, this time with anger. "You've been lying to me! How are you not surprised that we're alive? What is going on?" Her mother stood slowly. "Chloe, sweetheart." "Don't sweetheart me," Chloe snapped. "You always tell me the truth. You always trust me, so why not now?" Her father reached for her hand and she stepped back. "You're right," he said quietly. "We haven't been honest, and that is on us," he said. "Am I in trouble?" Chloe asked, voice trembling. "What? Oh, no, of course not, sweetheart," her mother said quickly, eyes brimming with tears. "This isn't your fault. If anything, it's our fault. We thought we were protecting you," she said. "We never meant to hurt you, sweetheart," her father added, his voice cracking. "We just thought if we waited, you could have a normal childhood. We thought we had more time," he said. "More time for what?" Chloe whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "Why is this happening?" she asked. Her father reached into his soaked jacket and pulled out a folded piece of green paper. He offered it with two of his fingers as if he was scared it would bite him. "I think you'll understand if you read this." With trembling fingers, Chloe unwrapped the paper. The ink was slightly smudged but still legible. Her eyes scanned the first few lines, confusion deepening. "I don't understand," she said. "What is this?" Her father took a steadying breath. "When you were born, it was the happiest day of our life. But not long after, we were visited by people. Women mostly. They told us we were witches." Chloe blinked, confused. "You're joking." Her mom shook her head. "We thought they were too," her mom said, a sad smile tugging at her lips. "We thought it was some kind of scam, but they showed us it was true." Chloe stared at them both, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're witches?" Her father shook his head. "No," he said gently. "Neither of us are. We're just normal human parents," he said. Her mother reached out, brushing a wet strand of hair from Chloe's cheek. "It's you, Chloe. You are the witch." Suddenly, from behind, "Welcome, Tuffin family! So glad you can make it," a woman's voice said. Chloe recognized the voice from the ship. She was the greeter that talked to them. However, before she was wearing a white uniform. Now she was clad in navy blue sweater with a long green skirt. Her curly hair that was once slicked back was now wild and curly around her shoulders. "Gosh, if you would have just taken our invite sooner, we wouldn't have had to take such drastic measures," she said. Chloe's mouth dropped open. No, no, Chloe said, standing up. "That was planned?" Chloe screamed. The woman clapped her hands together and gave a small laugh. "Fun, wasn't it?" she said with a cheery expression. "We could have died. You couldn't have just asked me. You had to sink an entire ship," Chloe screamed before slapping her hand to cover her face in frustration. "Well, now that you're here," she turned to walk away. "I admit, a bit later than expected. You can join the rest of the students getting ready for sorting," she said. Chloe crossed her arms. "I'm not following a woman I just met who sunk a ship." "Well, that won't do. Let me introduce myself," she said, bowing with one hand pulling her skirt outward. "I'm Genevieve Zizzle. I'm the professor for herbology class at Wormwood. I'm also head of the welcoming committee and sorting detail," she said with a smile. Mr. Tuffin turned to face his daughter, placing both hands on her shoulders and bent down. "Look, honey, I know this is sudden, but it's better to hear them out. It's not like we have any way to get back home without them anyway," he said softly. I don't trust her, Chloe whispered, peeking over her father. Mrs. Tuffin leaned down. We don't trust her as far as we can throw her. But we do know that we would never let you be in harm's way. You just need to trust us this once, she said softly. Chloe took a deep breath and nodded as her father let go of her shoulders. Okay, let's go, she said with a determined look. Fantastic! Let's get going. You cannot be late for sorting, Miss Zizzle said dramatically, stepping forward and walking into the forest.